All right. We should be good, I think. And like you've got the first items in the agenda, so we can probably just kick off there.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have added some follow-ups, follow-up issues for merge request widget extension, the code quality, which I'm currently working at. Those issues, they probably need refinement. No need to do them sync, but feel free to check them out. And I put them onto our working group Epic. So they're free for grabs. Looking forward to comments and whatever you might wanna add to those. And one more thing that I'd love to have some attention on is I posted this in the Slack channel a couple of days ago, but I'm still questioning about one particular UI behavior for the code quality MR widget. It's actually kind of straightforward. It's only about the info icon, which should be hovered, but there should be some text inside of a popover. So I'm still failing to find this text. If anybody has any idea who to ask or where to look on, I'm curious on those tips.
Jeremy, do you remember if is secure now taking code quality? Because it used to be test or pipeline insights now is what we're called.
It's in SAS scanners now.
Okay.
I
maybe, oh, sorry.
No, it's all right. I pinged Annabelle in there, but I didn't get a response in there, so I'm not sure who else, but go ahead.
I think Becca is the designer for that. I can ping her in that conversation. And I might be able to dig around to see if we had anything from old testing widgets that had like text for the popover and let you know what I find as well.
Awesome. That sounds fantastic. Sweet. Other than that, that's all I have today. Gina, you've got the next part.
Yeah,
before we move on, Gina, sorry, I was gonna ask, are the issues that you added, are they specific to like to widgets you're working on, or are they part of the core component? I'm just trying to, if they need to come back to like code review and Phil to work on, or if anyone's
Gotcha. Let me quickly double check. They meant to be regarding the core component. Click listener. Yep. Yeah, those are related to the core component, not to code quality itself.
Okay, and it's the three that are sort of at the top.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay, for the thing I brought up so Miranda's working on converting the metrics widget, I think, no, test report widget over to use the new framework. And I noticed that for our failed state, I'll share my screen. Like when the widget fails to load results, we're using the exclamation point icon, which is the same thing as warning, and just coloring it red. And in our mocks, we use this. And then I think that this is something that's happening at the core component, but I wasn't 100% sure. And I wanted to see if anybody could clarify if this needs to be changed on the core component level.
I'm not 100% sure because I haven't worked on the base component, but I think, can we specify, I think we could specify the contents for the header, right? On a per component basis, but I think things like errors, like component failure, seems like it might be a base component behavior because it's standardized across all of them. So it may be as easy as, again, I'm not 100% sure, it may be as easy as just changing it at the base component for that error state, because I think error states, that test summary failed to load results, seems consistent across.
I can say that per the guides, that the exclamation is only used for secondary and tertiary level, and then the fail should be the top level. So there is no red exclamation for the top level.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it. Essentially, an error bubbles up to a failure.
Okay. So the top should always like it should never have the exclamation. I can
Yeah.
maybe. I think
Yeah.
Miranda may have responded to me too, so I can look into if it was specific to this widget.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll paste a quick link here to the frame in Figma that shows the icon states,
Thank
and
you.
you can see what is available at the top level versus secondary tertiary.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's also in, I guess that's also in pajamas too. I can link to that here in a second.
Okay. All right. So I can look into that and work with Miranda. I think she had said that if it is at the core, like at the base level, that she could edit it so it updates for all of the widgets, which I think would be ideal for us. For some reason, I hadn't noticed it before, even though I've reviewed like a couple of them. So I'll go back and check as well.
So I was looking right at the base component right now while everyone's speaking. It looks like the default widget error text is failed to load, but if a particular component defines the error translation, it seems to use that as a fallback. So that particular language might be because it's being provided by the component itself. But if you want, I can follow up after this call and then work it through it with you if you want a more immediate answer. You could ping me in Slack if that's easier for you.
Okay. Yeah, I might do that because I didn't really understand that fully.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. I think that answered mine.
Cool. I guess I have the next one. So recently, license compliance widget was somewhat, I mean, it wasn't blocked, but we were going to go, the initial iteration was going to go without level 3 support. But now that level 3 support has been added, we decided for the sake of consistency and just equivalent or near similar user experience to the existing legacy widget was to go forward with the L3 support. So I was going to demo what I have so far, and then had some follow-up questions now that we're actually using the thing, at least in a feature branch. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, that's Slack. Can everyone see this update package.json merge request? So we have these collapse state, license compliance detected new licenses, this yellow, I guess, or brownish explanation point, the expanded state. And what L3 support gave us was like the ability to kind of group these together, denied, uncategorized. And I'll get into why this is so expanded out into a second as part of my questions, but then also the third category of allowed. And you can see that each grouping has its own set of icons also. So we have that ability to fine tune it on a individual level. So a couple of things came to mind in terms of actually using this, one of which was the amount of spacing here. And I don't know, it seems like the way we implemented this is somewhat recursively. So, at level 3, you could have components, I think, that were like in level 2 in some cases. So like in this case, like the link component and then text after the fact. So this seems to be hard coded, and I didn't know if this spacing looked quite right to the designs. Was one thing to call out, that level of indentation.
Yeah, that's incorrect. Yeah, it should be left with that text. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I don't have anything to write with, but I'll make a note of that to follow up on that. Okay, so that might be a bug, or seems to be one. The other thing was, let me go to the agenda here. Oh yeah, the other thing was, so this text is essentially now. Before I continue, are we allowed to share source code in this meeting because it's broadcast live to YouTube? I don't know what the etiquette is for that because it's enterprise only code? Does anyone know?
It's still source available. It's not like anything is closed source. Should be fine.
Okay, so the answer is I can share my screen in the code. Okay, all right. So glad I asked. So this actually is going to be truncated. This truncation logic is something along the lines of used by, and it will show like 1 or 2 dependencies, and then it'll like and 20 others is kind of what the existing behavior is. And I don't think it's as per included in the spec for what we're trying to do here. And I don't think we necessarily have to, because what we're doing essentially is providing that data as part of supporting text, right? Because the way it's set up is link is the link text, which is just the name of the license. And then the stuff that follows after that long list of things are what we're adding a supporting text. So my question was, where can we put utility functions? So this is more like engineering, like design pattern question. So we do have a function in our existing license compliance widget that will parse these dependencies and do the automatic string generation of like used by, the first 2 and then 20 other dependencies. That logic exists in this other license packages component. And what I was going to do was this utility function, does that need to live in the widget extension itself, or can I import it as a utility function? I don't know, Yannick, if you had any thoughts on that, or speaking to the other engineers, if it's been brought up in the past.
I don't recall seeing this exact problem, but since you just mentioned like outsourcing this into a utility function would probably make it easier to understand, and I don't see any reason against this.
Okay, and that's what I was kind of going through. So because right now this parse dependencies is kind of defined within the component itself. And I think I was going to refactor it out into a utility function. If that seems okay, then I'll go ahead and do that. I'll try to ping the other people who are part of the working group that aren't in the meeting now, async, maybe they'll have additional input. Okay.
I would say just ping Phil and have him take a look. I think he owns sort of the base component from an engineering standpoint. And so
Okay.
you can
All right.
confirm with him.
Cool. And then the last question I had was, let me try to find, where is this epic? Does anyone have the link to the epic by any chance? I'm trying to dig around and find it.
It's in the agenda, the very first point. From what I added today.
Yeah, this one. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. So I didn't want to pollute this epic with these. There are version 2. So these are improvements to optimizing. Yannick might be familiar with this. Is the collapsing uncollapsed state, we're using the same endpoint and we're getting all the data more than we need, and it's not really leveraging the benefits of having 2 endpoints in the collapsed state, having less data come back from the server, so it's more lightweight. So these are follow-up. They're not blockers per se for this epic, but I don't know if we had a like tech debt epic for any of this stuff, or should this kind of live more in an epic, or not even an epic? Should it just not have an epic and just be tagged with like composite secure compositional analysis? Like any follow-up work that is not blocking for version 1 of these widget extensions, should I just not have in this epic is what I'm thinking, and just have it tagged with the correct labels for compositional analysis, which is the group this belongs to, and then we'll get to it when we get to it, since it's not a blocker. Does that kind of make sense? These are not required for our initial release, but they are related to the efforts is really. So my question is, this may at this point be work that's follow-up that's specific to our team that I should just capture in our own team as opposed to here. Sorry, there's a whole mouthful, but I don't know if that
I would
makes
say
sense.
leave it there, leave them in this epic for now. And then
Okay.
it's a little bit complicated because Andre's out, and we'll be back in.
Okay. Well,
Rest
I
in peace.
think, yeah, how about, all right, so I could leave it here for now. And then when we get closer to wanting to turn this flag on, I guess we could bring up like, hey, what do we do about these two? Is this blocking for this release? And then at that point, we can move it to where we need to.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay. All right, cool.
Are these issues like purely about the code quality or whatever widgets that
Performance,
you're
I
working
would say technically it's theoretically just performance. This one actually I may close out because this was more, there's no screenshots. This was more about the text order, which I think I've resolved. I was able to get the link first and then the text, which as you see here, that's kind of like on 2 rows because it's so much, but like over here, right? I kind of got what we needed. Bar, you know, I need to add a white space here, and I'll follow up on this too, because there are things like, you know, this is just a link field and then this is supporting text, right? But now I'm having to artificially like inject white space. It seems like something that if you have supporting text followed after a link text, it should automatically have white space. I don't see why you wouldn't want to have one other the text is jammed together. So this I'll open, or I'll follow it with Phil to kind of work on that alignment, but I think I may be actually able to close out this one. And then to answer your question, this V2 is a performance upgrade. That's why I said it's not really, that requires backend work to add a new endpoint so we could can consume that endpoint with less data, you know, for the collapse state.
Okay, yeah. I brought that up because there's other things that I've noticed that are more related specific to the widgets that we've been working on. So I've been just creating those and assigning my group to them rather than like putting them in this larger epic because they're not blockers, like you're saying.
Oh, okay. Okay. Are they more related to design issues though, or that covers engineering work too, or?
Sort of. Yeah. I guess they came because they're not ideal, but they're things that are fine to release them with. We just want to improve them. So yeah, I guess they're related to design.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know if we have a pattern of mixing. Well, we've had epics where there's every team's a little bit different, what makes it hard. But we've had like epics and sub epics where we do have a front end design issue, but it's to keep track of the initial design discussions, and it's mixed. But if you want, after this call, since we're going to look at the other stuff, maybe you could send me over that epic and I'll see if it even fits in there. But I think for now we'll just leave it where it's at.
Yeah.
Well,
sounds good.
Thanks. That's all I had. I don't think there's anything else on the agenda. Does anyone have any other thoughts?
All right.